even help to fight against the high ground take that is coming. But then it's not even just about the take that Aviv and Skittles are able to perform here. It's just about maintaining the high ground, dealing so much damage to builds, players, to make it so that way none of them have a chance to actually take it from them or shoot them out.
And these pulse rifles are absolutely insane. They do 237 damage per second, which is matching some of the twin mag SMGs. But then, of course, you have the long range beams that they provide as well. I mean, by the time I finish this sentence, with a pulse rifle, I could have done 2,000 damage.
Mad DPS. I like it. I like it. So, do we feel like the risk is worth the reward?
I mean, it'll be tough, right? You got to work on your box fighting when it comes to actually contesting Rift Island, because that's usually what we see a lot of teams do. They'll box up on that capture point. Of course, it does spawn during fourth zone, so you have to make sure you have enough materials and heals to kind of whatever team is over there, but if you can get it, you should be looking up towards Titan.
I mean, there was a moment in one of the EU Surf games, I believe it was game number 2 or 3, where there was 5 separate teams on Rift Island. So there is definitely some risk going on there, but I definitely think the reward, if you're able to play the pulse rifle, is worth it.
I love to see it. So many things to be taking account of today here in Surge Week. It is going to be absolutely insane, but it is not just us to be calling all the action. We have 2 passers. We have to introduce them. It's Monster D-Face and Jacob PR.
You guys see this? The king is back!
Hold up. We get to finals. Lucky me getting all the action here this week. Oh, wait. You dropped this, King. Oh, there you go, dude. That's good to see you, man. Good to see you. Welcome back, Jacob PR, and of course, Monster DPS guys, welcome. How are you guys feeling coming into Surge? Where are the hype levels at?
I mean, the truth is, we know that the games are going to be good, but most importantly, we get to start really prepping up for these finals. Big money's going to be on the line. And this week, for some, they're entering in for the first time, so pressure's on.
Yeah, to me, I just get that feeling of deja vu. Getting to cast the Monster yet again, but that story of Sentin and Fabs, particularly Fabs, when he won 2 of his 3 FNCS championships, he qualified through Surge Week. So this is just another day on the clock for him.
Can I just say how excited I am to be here with all of my sons?
I thought I was dead here. Okay. Well, guys, I want to get bring you guys to this conversation later because there's so many things to kind of be thinking about. Rift Island, Vaults. Like, how do you guys feel like the Vaults are going to impact the games we're going to see today?
I mean, listen, the truth is the Vaults have done a lot to the game. More now than ever, we've seen contested teams start to win, so the Vault is clearly one of the most powerful things to utilize.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's 3 of them across the map. Those Mythic Havoc one-pump availability for a lot of these teams. Yeah. We've already seen it throughout the first 3 weeks, kind of bail out a lot of these players that are in some rough positions, the turn, the burns, the one-shots. That's what I'm expecting to see from a lot of these players.
Yeah, I mean, we got big names competing today. Wavy Jacob, we got Thor and Bolt. Of course, we've mentioned it multiple times. Scented and Fabs, Paper. The list goes on and on, but there's only 10 spots available for duos and grand finals. Have to see how it all pans out.
I feel like for me as well, that conversation kind of coming to the end of Major 2. I'm almost starting to find myself thinking more about global championships, right?
Yeah.
And the question I feel like we've had that I asked Levin recently was, how does NA stack up against EU? Do you guys feel like we're there, or is there still work to be done?
I mean, we've only gotten stronger, right? The merging of the entire region. Now we get to see, of course, this new NA Central. For the first time, we're going to be crowning someone the king of NA, right? So it's going to get a little bit more contentious over here.
Yeah, when it comes to pure fighting, NA has it over EU, miles above over EU in my opinion. But the overall strategy, I think EU kind of has a little bit of an edge on NA.
What do you think, Viv?
You know, I'm always, I competed on NA, so I'm always going to give it to NA, but that's biased, I'll be honest.
Okay, Kelly, I got to know. Do we stack up?
NA.
That did not sound confident.
She's like, you know what, it's fine. We did it, but that's all good. Listen, we know you want games. We do too. Remember, 5 games happening right here, right now for Surge Week. Remember, consistency coming in that top 5 or a victory out is what we are looking for. If you're ready, we are too. Let's run it. This is Surge Week.
Well, there we have it. We start to gear up here. 5 big games are going to be in front of us, and of course, you can win, go all the way through, but most importantly, play consistently.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day for some of these players, even though it is one less game, because the pressure to perform game after game, moment after moment. But it's great to see that even though some of these players, particularly Sparebow, if you don't win, they have that top 5 consistency in their mind. But the battle bus is ready. Game number 1 of Surge Week starts right now, and I'm already at the edge of my seat.
That's right, 5 big games, and we get to start off nice and easy here. Pressure's on, as we know, in good NA fashion. It's going to be slow and steady, but recently, this is a contested dropper here. Punisher, Costa, he's got a little bit of attention in the hills nearby.
Yeah, I thought this was going to kind of go convincing over to Yasir and Zyro over on the other side, but a triple contestation out of Kenjutsu, where there's a lot of VR winners on the season so far. But we talked about Mega City as well. 4 teams in such close proximity, but at the same time, Mega City is so massive of a POI. You can loot around before you find anybody.
Well, listen, talking about exchanges happening, the feed is already lighting up your sear, which means over down where Punisher was, the exchange is happening there. Here at the Mega City, it's Action City. But let's jump on into it. Boy has to step up right now. What is Diz going to be able to do? He's going to pull his teammate back, try to play for the res up here. And look, it looks like Punisher and crew might just be sliding on over.
Yeah, they see that from the top of Kenjutsu crossing. And you can see Zyro's probably trying to use that as a blessing. As soon as Punisher and Costa hopefully come in, that could be his way to try to get that Ruby card on up. But he's just trying to clear the distance between him and everybody else. Try to loot up as much as possible because they know his hands are going to be full no matter what decision he makes here. And that's where Punisher and Costa, they have a little bit of a different outlook on this fight. They got looted up. They got the mobility. So it's theirs for the taking.
Well, every ounce counts here. Boy steps up to the plate, finds the finish there. It's going to be a big point swing for him to go ahead with the pickup as well. So they're very much right back into the game. Probably with a small material advantage, but the shots coming in are going to start to chomp away at that. Punisher calls them, they have the high ground, right? They're vibing out right now, but they give it up to go ahead and push this duo.
You can see Ahmedi, the switch up of the kinetic blades, just trying to get that one extra charge. Punisher from the side, just trying to put that pressure on from another angle. Meanwhile, Costa, you can see him crouching, trying to hide any bit of audio, any bit of direction in which he's coming from. But a fight this close, box to box, this is where you can see Noodle towards the bottom, has it in his hands. Punisher with the trade shots, but it's only a 1-for-1.
Well, Punisher has years and years of course, I was going to say experience before I can even finish the sentence. Costa's there to match it and back it, and now they get to get the full pickup there. Remember, these eliminations here are worth so much. That's going to be a ton of points to go and kick it off. Contested drop, man, that's the pressure on the shoulders there, but wait for them to put up. For my U here in Crackley, listen, Crackley's been around the block, right? Competing in all types of zero build competitions, slides into, of course, the FNCS this weekend, finds himself in Surge Week. Wait for him to continue to step up here. Love the loadout. This is probably the most, air quotes, meta as it can get, right?
Yeah, I'm over here just looking at his name, though. Is that a prediction? He said, hey, we might play for consistency through the first 3. Game 4 is where we're going to seal the deal. But a team, I did not expect them to be in Surge Week. Scope and Mason, they've been performing progressively better and better each and every time they enter into these FNCS playlists. But I think this could be the moment for them, especially with their back up against the wall. But as we tune in, Day and Shore, they heard a lot of the fight going down very, very early on, and they're trying to sneak and take advantage of any surprise on a Punisher or Costa.
Well, Punisher and Costa did a good job eliminating Boy and his teammate there pretty quickly, but Day and Shore, a much different caliber of duo here. They're lurking. They might just get the drop on it first. Shore's going to come in directly head on. Day tries to slide around the side, and yes, he's already looking to cut off this opponent. Costa there in the distance. There's ODM here to play with, and now he's like comfortable with the kinetic blade there. You can see the tags though. Punisher's pretty hurt.
Yep. Over for another team that might be having a little bit of struggles. Game winner. A lot of predictions coming down from a lot of these players. So they're not going to go down without a fight, but a huge couple of attacks. Shield's going to be dropped, and there's his teammate trying to alleviate some of that pressure. I think it's worked for a couple of seconds, but now for Larry and his duo, the decision has to be made. With the amount of damage they just put out, is this worth expending the resources, especially since they pulled zone all the way on the north side of the map?
Now, let's not forget those big headshots there. A huge setback from RSOW as he has to put down the big heels, and there it is. You can see it all coming through. Will he go ahead and finish it off? Yes, he does. All right, so now back to square one. A little bit on the back foot here. They're deciding if they want to take the fight. Probably not. We know there's a much more passive team. They're going to be defensive in every opportunity that they get first. But of course, we know Surge is an ever-pending, issue. Of course, and we see the flare gun coming out into good use there. Full scans on the other side. Felix and Spare Bowl, some of the most veteran teams here in the lobby. They've made so many appearances in weeks like Surge weeks. They have of course, the experience of solidifying dubs here in the past. What will they do?
I love his mindset, especially from that interview, saying we can go ahead and win and qualify through 2 different conditions. The game win that everybody's going to be fighting for, or that top 5. So everybody should be playing to win. naturally, but at least they have it in the back of their head that if things do go wrong, they can have some sort of backup strategy, at least underneath their sleeve.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. Let's see what Snake and Mega here, setting up the big slam, potentially onto Stacky and Nox. Now remember, these are two very, very experienced duos here. Competition runs deep for both. They've been in so many final style settings. For Snake and Mega, they're some of the most trusted. Snake's just looking though, trying to see if he can find an opportunity going to get inside there. He's gonna turn a bit, but this is a huge ambush.
Yeah, you can see them taking their time. Patience is definitely key in a situation like this. Mega and Snake have a combined 20 FNCS final appearance. Tied for second most here in the lobby. You know exactly when to attack, when to go in with a couple of shots, playing a little bit of a distraction. Snake just trying to add a little more to his repertoire in terms of rotation. You see him opting to go for that kinetic blade with 3 charges. More is always better.
Hey, we'll take the extra charges. That's always going to come in handy. Here's On1 and Zypha, very explosive duo, but On1 almost isolated in between this duo here that has several angles to work on him. I do wonder, do they know he is inside the building? Probably. Curly does seem to be on edge. But no, On1, door open, lurking nearby. Opens up to Curly. Okay, great tag, not a big one. Maybe not exactly what he was looking for, but the piece control comes in from down low. Curly does an excellent job playing defensively. Now he's got his back against the wall. Oh, look at this, dude. Working.
Using it as a distraction. As soon as On1 shot that shot, you see Curly and his alarm. He went and centered himself. Zypha just trying to go for the sneak attack with a 2v1 over on the other side. Curly doing such a great job taking control of the pieces, but immediately as he knew that Zypha ran away, he turns around to try to help Nerf. Playing in the same box in close proximity from your duo is huge and important in a lot of these fights.
Well, On1's built a great reputation of being able to finish these fights and do it successfully without taking damage. So far, he's been the one on the high ground, just really looking in, trying to see if he can go ahead and find that explosive opener. Nothing just yet. There it is, the first tag. Just a little trade-off here, but the zone's coming in. The pressure's on now. Here comes the ticking clock.
Trying to use that big pot. He knows the fight's inevitable. They don't want to let all their resources they expended up until this point to go to waste. On1, he's played in the FNCS Invitational. He wants to return to that global stage. And step 1, to get to that stage, is qualify here through Surge Week. Step number 2, if he does qualify, is going to play through the FNCS Grand Finals. And top 3 teams get into that global championship at the end of the year.
Ooh, Curly barely there with a moment's beat there. Hits the slurp, or the fish there in the final moments, the flopper to keep him alive. That was almost all over. The tournament run could have dropped there for just a moment. But there goes the reset. They realize, yeah, there's much more danger than just On1 and Zypha sitting above us. There's a team in the distance, so that's going to cost even more material. Here comes the big flare shot. Okay, so they have all the attention they need, but yeah, like you said, Jacob, material probably a little more important right now.
What makes it so hard for them, Zypha just doesn't have mobility. So even though On1 does have that ODM gear, it's going to be hard for them to disengage as a team. But luckily enough, that team right below, they spread up, they go different directions, and I think that could be a great play for them, unless somebody does go down, because it makes them focus on 2 different targets. And look at the distance they've already covered in that short time, as Paper and Caesar are trying to cover distance on their own mind. That's Parks who gets tagged up towards the sky. Doesn't look like his duo is anywhere in sight, so he needs to be careful if he keeps trying to ODM away, because if he gets tagged up with enough elevation, he will take ball damage.
Notice what Paper's doing, playing for that extreme high ground. It's going to cost even more material. For Pards is on the run right now. And look at this, it's just cutting through all of the mats there. Yeah, you can run, but you can't hide. That's a full shield crack there. Excellent for Paper. Now, mind you, Paper just coming off of eliminating Mars, OW, and crew there. And you do get to see those highlights there, Jacob. I mean, you have to imagine for Paper right now, he's feeling pretty good. Look at the ambush here. Lex thought he was safe with the wide outskirt rotate, but no, sir. They got collapsed on.
I like this right here between Paper and Caesar, though, because immediately as they saw it was a player separated from his team, they pounced like lions on a piece of meat in the safari. That's something that you really need to take note of in a situation like this, is the advantages you have in a lot of these fights. You have to take them, because sometimes when you take too long, when those opportunities go right out the window.
That's right. For Swirl and Aoxy right now, they're very much comfortable here just outside the Brutal Bastion, but let's just get caught up. How did they find the eliminations? They have control of the Volt right now. Here goes the full fight. made it look nice and easy. Walk on through, 160s for the follow-up, and then the 120 there. And what a play for Swirl here. Didn't even need his teammate to back him up. No distraction there from Meoxy. He literally caught the two-piece. And Lowell check in and a catch up from the Mega City sent it. And Fab's down, has to get picked up here.
From one vault to another, you can see what the impact it's going to do. And in week 3, in their miracle run, Fabs in game number 6 had a huge heroic save to bring Sented back. And Sented's like, now it's my turn. This is only game number 1, but there's no time to give on up as Nox is getting cornered. Mew and Mook are trying to go ahead and pounce while the iron is hot, and they do almost immediately take out another player. The thing that I kind of noticed at a lot of these loadouts, though, is the lack of actual HP heals that might come into use later on in the game.
That's right. B-Roller now gets to jump in action over here. It's just fights everywhere. Jackson, B-Roller, a team that we can absolutely see push their way through, either through consistency or victory royales today. Very experienced here. Ideal loadout in hand. Odium here. Big legendary slurp juice on hand. Big pots as well for the rotates. Beautiful Cardi actually finds potentially Bazzer in the veto. That tells us a story in full there. All right. That's how that all unfolded. D-Roll is slide back now. He heard the pickup happening. Yes. Looks for the full elimination. He's just a tag away now.
Yeah, without even knowing and seeing it. That's probably exactly what did happen to Fabs as well. With Sented going for that reboot.
Yeah.
It's one of those risk-reward scenarios to where, yeah, you need your teammate back into the game, but at the same time, when the reboot goes off, it's like a giant alarm in the sky saying, hey, look at us. We're trying to make a game-saving play. But luckily enough, with Fabs going down 2 times in this game, Sented still keeping this show on the road. Really interesting to how he plays this one out, going for the weapons cache, though, because another team here in this lobby is granted that same cache, and it's worth fighting for, especially at this stage of the game.
Yeah, he's a solo right now, right? So he kind of has to go ahead and fight for this one. Now, we did just quite literally tune in with Fab getting picked up. Cardi was there in the distance. Potek alongside. Quick knock and a finish. ODM here to slide on in, get the conclusion on that one. And that book and story is closed and done. There's a true veteran. I'm sure there's plenty rooting for the good old Clarity G in Tasker here. This is truly excellent and exceptional duo right here. Chances are they'll be in finals next week.
I'm pretty sure like a lot of us were surprised they're even in Surge this week. So I gotta agree with you there. One of the teams I believe that could play through both consistency and that win scenario with Rift Island Spawn. You see so many teams all around, particularly Sprite and Giants towards the top. They're trying to claim it as their own. They're gonna get a bunch of hills, but more importantly, the overclock pulse rifles. They deal so much damage in an instant. You heard Kelly break it down, almost 230 a second without aiming down sights.
Well, if you are just tuning in, this is game 1 of North America. The full merge of NA East and West has been playing out over the last couple weeks. The first time we get to see a Surge week as all these players now start to culminate, basically changing the pacing of the region, the style of gameplay. You have these players that were once considered effectively creative warriors, right? True fighters, box fighters, jumping onto the NA region, and now it all happens here. But Paper and Shadow, this is a very interesting duo, of course. We see start to pair up here, both of which have had their own individual success. They do together. Paper's got much more years of experience playing Fortnite. Shadow, one of the newer, younger players to go out and find his little bit of success over the last, I would say, year and a half or so. He starts to have his meteoric rise and finds himself amongst the best of the best now.
Fighting through the first 3 weeks, you know, they land over towards Shattered Slabs. You tell by the vault loot alone what their kind of game plan is going into this one. Quan Jock, 1 elimination, and the biggest difference between the first 3 weeks and this one is it's now 4 points per eliminations instead of the 2 players were granted before. So it's definitely more of a high risk, high reward when it comes to those eliminations.
Well, it's not just experience on this duo, it's also FNCS previous champion in Jock here, sitting alongside Qua, an extremely talented player. They're right next to the West Demons on one. Zypha, who's sitting right above them, so not a safe box by any means. Slacks a nut here, go for a quick pick, and take a lot of damage.
Yeah, this lobby is stacked. I've never seen so many superstars in 1 Surge week alone, so I'm going to have to go and throw it on over to Jenny so she can give us a lay of the land of all the teams here today.
Thank you, Jacob. Yes, as we can see, Nut and Slack are doing a great job getting those surge tags. We had Nut making sure they were completely prepared with tons of heals and materials, and then building up and just getting all of those surge tags and preparing themselves for endgame.
All right, appreciate you, Jenny. Thank you for the catch up there. It really gives us the insight, right? The full scope of what is going on right now. Back on over to Zypha and on one. The big rotates here. Now more than ever has it become easy to get from point A to point B, but that also means that there are teams situated there. Just take a look at the map. Although you see everyone skating across, you also see folks looking out. The big bases in the distance as well, just hawking, eyeing out all of the players right now.
Yeah, you got to be careful. The zone continues to pull towards the western side, north part of the map. For all those teams congested towards the south, you gotta watch out to not get a little greedy for any play, because it could become the focus of Felix and Espero. They're dead center in the middle of the map, to where 3 teams are already stacked up. Everybody is making this a focus. You have to watch out, because more players are going to begin to kind of third party, fourth party, fifth party, sneak in some shots. And Siren and Noisy are going to be one of those. They find a quick tag on the Mars, taking him down, and the show keeps going. They're just bulldozing from one player to the next.
Well, for the second time now, we get to see Mars get completely finished, and that looks like that's the run over for him and his duo there. Siren and Noisy are what's left here, now pushing on to Sparebow and Felix. Felix, one of the most competent Fortnite players that we have had compete, especially here today in the Surge Week. Fun fact about Sparebow and Felix, they've actually been playing with one another for almost 4 years as a duo. One of the few teams that have been playing with one another for so long. So this is a scary situation to have such an experience with a team that's so comfortable with one another. Tons of experience, even in settings like this, the biggest stages. And that is the competition for Siren and Noisy. So defense looks good here. They find the tags they need. They can rotate if they want, but taking their time. They're trying to see, can we convert here?
Trying to take control of those pieces. That is exactly right. About half materials. He's not in the worst position when it comes to those, but he definitely wants more. And whatever heals are left over there as well. He is missing 50 shields. Megan Snake boxed up against Paper and Shadow for the target of a team that a few paces nearby, and that's them. When is the perfect time to go for a sneak attack? A Shadow knows they're there. He's playing as defensive as possible.
What's crazy about this is Shadow took down second.
He needed to survive as a solo, but look at this. They get collapsed on, and that is the pressure, the looming pressure. Megan Snake made quick work of Paper. Paper's down with Shadow, slides out the side there. They get the attention of a duo off in the distance, and now Snake's trying to It's not like it's a rush to get to the loot, but they don't, of course, want Shadow to come in and steal it all away. But look at Shadow
there. The high risk, high reward that we're talking about. Megan Snake playing that one close to perfection to try to... They go ahead and get the eliminations and the loot for their own as Punisher and Costa. This is big right here, because out of the season so far throughout the first 3 weeks, 12 VRs came from Kenjutsu Crossing. So this is a big moment for Punisher and Costa, because they have the loot, they have the heals, they have the kinetic plays, they have everything they need. They just need to be able to execute and win this game.
Costa and Punisher lookingly, or seemingly going from the slums to the high rises here, as they found themselves in a pretty optimal position. Heals, material, and everything else. Eliminations as well, so no surge is not an issue here. Costa has to get to his duo. Punisher waiting there in the distance. Oh, shots coming in. A little unexpected demolition there, but it's okay. Things kind of ease out here. Comes a defensive shot backs against Redux there. Let's take a look at the high ground. Jack and Claw. They pull zone. They waste no time to invest in material here.
I love this.
I love might actually have to go. Yeah, they do.
Jock was leading the charge, just trying to get them a good spot. Quaz just trying to get more surge. 62, that's a bug. You got a layer of safety that you don't have to worry about for a few seconds, but they are some experts in the lobby. We talk about experience. They are just as experienced as some of the other teams. They know 62 is absolutely nothing. It's not a feeling of comfortability. It's just kind of a warning that, hey, I gotta start getting active yet again.
Crazy to see them playing for high ground as well. They could have easily opted to stay in any kind of low box base with a cone above them, completely defended there and protected, but no, they're peering out in the distance. That's probably going to be a team that will just cycle up right, as we like to say, and play for the dub right now.
I I'm just oohing and on because the loot that he just picked up, thanks to this elimination here. You see Aoxy already down. Drill's doing the best that he can to try to hold on to the pieces. It goes for a little cheeky shot to take out both Jackson and D-Roller. He did have the Mythic Havoc pump, but it just was not enough in a 2v1 situation. They go down. The loot changes hand yet again. That has to be at least the third time I've seen it in this game alone that vault loot is changing hands time to time.
Well, it's not just the zone or the loot changing hands, it's also the zone. The zone goes from north, pulls hard down south now as well. So most of obviously going to find themselves safe here, but Justice in here get dropped and finished off by Redux and Nexi. Redux, who we just saw under screen pressure from Punisher and Costa there, they've managed to turn all odds in their favor. Watch the rotate here. Of course, the kinetic blade makes this nice and easy for them. Redux takes a lot of damage here on the move, but they have plenty to go ahead and get them back into a winning position here.
Pretty calm zone for now. The next one is the one that might prove to be a little drastic depending on where it does pull, and that's why I always stress about the importance of proactivity, gathering the information. Next to Redux, just putting pressure and shots down on so many other teams, and with that Shadow Tracker pistol, it's spotting players out for a number of seconds, so that way the information that they're able to keep, they're able to deal with it a lot longer.
Here we have it. It's all or nothing now. The end game has slowly encroached upon us, and all that matters now is get this win here. Of course, if you made it this far, you've probably earned yourself a fair amount of points, but points is good. The win's even better. You want to go directly to finals here and now. Here's a duel that's below the Scourge, though. Saucy putting big tags down. He needs much more there, and him and his duel cannot quite connect there on a vulnerable team in the distance.
Popping that first of his 2 slurp juices. 152, no sense of stability here. Looking up, looking everywhere, but nobody is peeking. That's the thing here on Surge Week. Once you get later and later into these games, the importance is there as the zone pulls south. There's a couple of different elevation changes before we finally settle on the side of a mountain. So if you're not ready for this one, I feel sorry for you. Saucy is still looking for shots with Edward. Wavy Jacob gets tagged up through the sky, but it's still not enough. 64 below the threshold. Now they have to move while still having that in the back of their mind.
It's like a bad dream that's going to wake up from.
He hold all the way. Heavy. I mean, do you think that's such a good idea? You're a little bit unhinged. Makes you want to stay unhinged like finger on my child. Is that a threat? Yes. Or even tipping off paparazzi. Yeah. Information is currency in Afghanistan. I never lied on you. I only told the truth. The truth is truth.
A little bit of elevation here gives a bigger decision. I'm not. Goes down there as well. A lot of teams with a lot of material.
Why don't you just make a plea deal? Maybe you'll get a good judge. I actually know one. I have a better idea. Put my baby down. Oh my God. Don't act like you don't understand. Oh yeah.
Maintain my high
What's up? Do you gotta teach me how to play?
That's 7 here already with 30 other opponents just about left in the lobby here. D-Roller and Jackson, one of the few teams to opt into full low ground with heavy material, are slowly tunneling their way through, but the heavy maps are just about over. On the front side, it's Clarity G and Casper who is leading this rotate, but they have no material. They're going to have to turn and burn on any opponents now. This is the last chance. D-Roller's in front of them, a random chest in front of them is going to yield them just a little bit more. That's nice.
3 pieces of metal. Clarity got 3 pieces of metal to work with the kinetic blade, though. Just waiting for the zone to catch up. Sprite and Giant still putting down so much pressure. Juan and Jocker living on that layer right in the middle, trying to make sure that they are not the main focus. But with the kinetic blade, they zoom through. Quad takes a couple of shots. Flashes are going to have to be expended. Costa with the munitions lands a perfect shot on one. They get sent back to the lobby. There's not a ton of resources being spread around, though.
Oh, Clarity G is left by himself, though. He loses Casper to the side of the zone here. Finished off by Snake, and now he sees all the opponents in front of him. The zone bounces back. Okay, a little bit of Lady Fortune and luck on his side here for Costa and Punisher, though. They've got so many eliminations where in just a single game to kick things off, the momentum on their side. Even if a win is not going to happen here. I mean, the points they've earned is excellent. Costa falls first. It's Quad there with a big shot to green up. The Siphon comes through, and that is welcome for Jack and Quad.
That's just huge shot wall. No builds though. Trying to go and gain whatever he can, but he gets tagged up from the side into the top 7 as Jacques is trying to make this solo run go as far as he possibly can. 58 points. He's trying to stagger himself back. He finds the Memphis. This is for sure a possibility. Clarity trying to do the same. First shot's gonna get landed. That's Kimzo who goes down. Clarity with the refresh, trying to get the siphon for the max. This is huge for Clarity and a successful run here in the end game.
Well, I hope you didn't count him out. Z is turning online right now. Small condition here. Does he time the med kit on time? We will find out. Give him 7 seconds here. Scope and Mason. Hope you didn't forget about them either. They're on the low ground, still alive. Very, very healthy, but the material count pretty low. Clarity does get the med kit off. Swings back around. Sees the team below him. Gets material as well. He can continue to hold out here. The decision now is to go down. He's got no other chances here. The floor gets opened up. He sees an opponent. Toes are shown, and Mason finding first. Down for the Giants and Sprite, and they're here to finish out the game. Scope's gonna fall there, but he needs to find the body. Otherwise, Mason will win the game, and Mason sits back and takes that one home.
There were absolutely no heals on our top 7 teams. Oh, but Mason, who goes to the backside of the zone, just make sure to keep their games alive. They have now qualified to the FNCS Major 2 Grand Finals.
Well, listen, I dropped the videos asking for action, and it looks like we got it. That one went to the final moments there. Scope and Mason really pull through. We get to jump in here where they have already 3 eliminations, but then they start cleaning up house in the end there, and that was the fatal error for Giants. He just missed Scope's down body, which would have gave him a little bit more time.
Yeah, just the timing, exactly what you said. Sprite and Giants needed a few more seconds down to the low ground, fighting tooth and nail because they had no heals, but they had those overclocked pulse rifles. I think with game number 1 done, second game, they're definitely going to learn their lesson.
Well, congratulations to Mason and Scope. Game 1 is wrapped. That's up 5. It's happening quickly here. Let's catch up with Z.
Thank you guys so much. My gosh, Mason comes out clutch here, saving those vital heals. And that's actually what the player that joined us, Espero, at the beginning of the show talked about how vital those heals were.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not just like taking those all the way into the end game. We tuned in right there with some of those highlights. They had so many eliminations, finding them on the low ground, and that was pretty much key to them being able to be in a position to actually win this game. Claiming that front side of low ground, finding the opportune moments to get those shots in and then pick up those refreshes, find the heals from other players, allowed Mason to carry all of these heals all the way into the end game. You simply outlived the opponents.
And I love that you used the word position there because we could see Mason taking that position on the downward side of the hill, being able to peek onto where his opponent could potentially come in so that he would get the first shot off. And there we have it. Look at these guys, Scope coming in right now. 0 historical FNCS victory royales. Well, it looks like that's going to change.
Yeah, this is the one, right? Remember, Victory Out will send you and your duo straight to Grand Finals. No questions asked. While everyone else is playing for the Victory Out or that consistency coming in that top 5. This is huge for this duo now because they just looking at like, hey, 4 games. I'm good, man. I'm going to go play some Arena later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've known Scope for a very, very long time. Now, one of the best controller regions on the region, so no surprise to see him there. But let me tell you something. They got the Victory Out, but look at the lead that Sprite and Giants have created already. Find themselves first place, 88 points. And I was actually watching this duo pretty much throughout the entire game. They played almost flawlessly when it came to all of those rotates. 6th, 7th, 8th zone. It was actually really, really crazy. We saw them bounce back and forth, north, south, north, south. The kinetic blade usage out of that duo, though, phenomenal.
Another duo that I was watching was definitely Qua and Jack right there, using that kinetic blade to get a little bit of height, see where the rest of the lobby was, and then finding the perfect position to put themselves in. There was a moment in, I think it was zone 10 or zone 11, where they saw that there was so much congestion to the left side of where they wanted to go that they actually used their second kinetic blade shot to go to the right side where it was a lot less congested. And then they did it once again where they used the kinetic blade. They're used to going onto the low ground, but instead they saw that the low ground was chaotic, so they built into the mid ground instead. Such smart plays coming out of this duo right here.
Well, the pivotal, part of their game right there was actually that refresh that they found on that mid ground. It's really, really important to kind of have like set plays with your duo, right? Who's going to break the wall? Who's going to go for the cone placement? And they kind of executed that one flawlessly. Also, when it comes down to making these edits, letting your duo know, hey, this edit is coming, both of them ready for the shot right there. They just kept finding refreshes on the mid ground that pretty much just carried them into that lead.
And they're already treating this like Grand Finals. right? These are grand finals movements they're taking. So saying, we may not need the victory out. Let's play for that consistent. Let's treat this like we're at that level, right, Kelly?
Well, they need to be, and a lot of the things that people don't look at, although, yes, you don't want to be in this position where you are in Surge Week, there's a possibility you don't get to make it. This is also an incredible opportunity for these players to practice for when they do go into grand finals.
Absolutely. Another duo, really quickly, Thoric Bulls. I feel like we've been talking about these guys a lot here on the NA region, but now they're finding themselves in Surge Week. But, also in third place, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually like a big storyline here to follow, right? Finding themselves in Surge Week. This is, of course, the reigning NA West FNCS champions. The last ones actually on that region, now combined NA region. They have to show up, right? They have to be like, hey, listen, NA West, we can compete with the best. They have to make sure they make it into grand finals if they want a chance to go ahead and defend that title. But so far, game number one, it's looking very, very good for them. The thing that I like the most about this duo right now is how much control they're finding around themselves on their mid-ground layer, the one that they select.
I think a part of their success, too, was that mythic munition, one of the augments that used to be taken out of the game, now back into it, and we can see how much damage that pistol does.
Absolutely. Can't forget Costa, Punisher, and of course Punisher has that Sancho West guarantee. For them to be able to hold that top 5 at the end of the day would be huge for the duo.
You know, this duo is going to be contested, and as you can see right here, already 5 eliminations on Costa. They actually tied the most with Sprite and Giants for eliminations in this game. This duo getting 8 as well. I mean, 7 on them on Costa. We are going to have to make sure that we keep an eye on him throughout the day, because the eliminations that he is getting right now, especially considering that they are 4 points each, might just carry them in the grand finals.
Something I saw a little interesting was the double movement that we saw on Costa there. He had a kinetic blade and he had the ODM gear. Now that did mean he didn't have a slot available for heals. We saw they only had the small pots available, which might have been part of their downfall and the reason that we didn't see them higher in placements. But when you're grabbing that many eliminations, who needs placement points?
Yeah, again, treat it like your grand finals, right? You don't have to worry about the victory out, because at that point, the victory out doesn't matter as much. But here in Surge Week, it is so vital. It will give those duos that may not be in that top 5 that second fighting chance for grand finals, David.
We're going to have to keep an eye out on how the lobby continues to develop, right? Mason and Scope in grand finals. Is anybody going to look to take over where they're landing, right? Might have multiple teams kind of land over there, right? Every single early game, as the game's going, it feels like it's going to be shaken up just that much more.
Yeah, everyone get out your bingo cards, because I'm going to say it, adapting is the name of the game, and you're going to hear us say it time and time again, especially for Surge Week, where that is probably the biggest key to success.
Especially when you have to think about it. Remember, this duo, they're gone. Mason, Scope, they're already heading to grand finals. Everyone else has to think, is their POI uncontested? They're not there anymore. We'll have to wait and see as this continues to develop, but we know what you want. You want some more games, don't you? Yeah. We got, remember, 4 more. This is Surge Week. Buckle up. It's game 2 time.
Congratulations one more time to both
Mason and Scope, because I know Scope at the very minimum has now got all his snacks ready to watch the rest of this one play out.
He gets a sick bag, throw his legs up on the desk, you know, have a good old time now.
So mega right here, dude.
Too often there, so for them to go ahead and really power on through, that was exciting. I was counting out all these teams on a low. I'm not gonna lie, man. Sprite and company just look so poised for the dub there. I mean, you're upset when it slips away, but at the end of the day, you still pick up tons of points.
Yeah, just the one thing they kind of misjudged was their heals and their position and win condition towards the end of the game. But them, Punisher, Costa, that congestion crossing is playing a huge role in a lot of success throughout the FNCS overall. But with game number 1 done, I'm here. I'm ready for more games. The battle bus is ready for game number 2, and I hope everybody is as well.
Let's go ahead and strap on in and jump on off this bus. We already saw Mega City, 4 teams there. That's not a free ride for Scented and Fabs at all. Down at the Steamy Springs, Punisher and Costa, although in second place right now from that big performance there in game 1, they have a lot of company as well in the surrounding areas. Paper and Shadow. We tuned in with them in the last game. They had a very solid mid-game situation going on. Also, just finding a bit of success there. You know, we love to see it. And just take a look at that laser focus from Paper. But oh no, Felix falls in the feed there to Minish out the gate.
That's not what you want to have happen. Just kind of start the game off for Paper and Shadow, though uncontested. No worries for them for quite a while, but back to Genjutsu Cross. We have a four-way fight going down. Punisher, he gets the combat, but not landing the neat shots. Atrey's gonna go through. Zyro left by himself. He has the red eye. You can see Yasir as well. He dropped that Havoc, and there it goes. The final blow. Zyro rises to the top, and this is a team, the only team in today's lobby that picked up a single VR throughout the first 3 weeks.
What a tough situation to be then. You have this big game, 4 eliminations before the end game even swings around, and then you pop off in the end game and find yourself in high placement points there. That was the story from game 1 for Costa and Punisher. And now, all that momentum picked up, paused.
Luckily, you still have that win and you're in scenario. So that's where these mental games come in while you're sitting in the lobby for the next 25 or so minutes. Kind of think about all the mistakes that went wrong in game number 1, how things went wrong here in this next game. For Costa and Punisher, 68 points. That's what they can have there. Held high is because they're high up on the leaderboard, enough to where they can slip up at least one time.
Well, here we have it. Potential other battle to go down here at the Brutal Bastion. Ledes and Dorito Zigny here, just kind of hanging out, looking around, trying to see what they can go ahead and put together. Remember, the most important thing is, of course, you get completely situated. You find yourself in that confidence seat, and then you, of course, take your battles. The Brutal Bastion is inside the zone, so we don't have to worry too much about just sitting back here and kicking it for a bit. Aoxy doesn't find himself with his duo, so that's a struggle story developing there. Now, remember, Day and Ajox, we saw them set up pretty nicely and then swing all the way around, right? Playing that dead side rotate here from the Slappy Short. So very interesting to see a player like Day just being passive, man, understanding the pressure, right? Understanding what's on the line here for Surgery.
Yeah, it didn't have to go through a lot of these players' minds and a lot of the scenarios that we're in, but Spotify and Coxie, they get the high ground taken away by Saucy and Edward, but he's fresh out of build, so that's going to be his height limit. That is going to be reached. Shield keg going down, but shots coming in from third parties as well. The higher you are, the farther you fall, especially with those third parties coming in. Spotify and Coxie, that's where they're taking their time. They have all that piece control towards the bottom. It is definitely theirs for the taking.
And Spotify is, of course, going to get the signal that up top there's a heal going down, so they probably understand what is at play here, that there is a third party. Yeah, there it is, off in the distance there, just to the west. The fight's not over. It's slow and steady here. LOL Saucy's behind that wall. Danger lurking nearby. When will he jump?
That's one of those fights that without a lot of resources, it's right out of the gate. It's a contested drop. There's not a lot of work rate for these players, and that's where this chess match is actually going down between the two teams. It's finally going to break out. Spotify is going to be one of the first players going down. Puts a lot of pressure on Coxie to try to survive, but luckily enough, Edward is getting tagged up from that third party, but it also lands a couple of shots onto them. Living on just a sliver of HP, Edward has another chance in this game.
Not gonna lie, thought he was done, but he had a little bit of health there, and that holds him in the game here. Day, looks like there's trouble here. It's broken, and Jutros is on the walls there, putting on pressure. Oh, wow. Quick peek and shot from behind there. What he thought was going to be some free headshots ends up getting it in return. You give and you take. Here comes the push. Another tag from an unexpected player. Yeah, this is tough. Whatever team's down south is definitely putting all types of free tags here onto Day and Age.
They also heard the shots. They heard the shield break. And that's when they try to make the move with the kinetic blade. The longer you take, higher probability of them getting healed up and the better fighting shape. And that's why you see Ajox and Deshawn, they're comfortable on that mid layer. They're just getting materials. They're getting their resources. They're playing in a position in which they're comfortable in. And you see what it's doing to Broken and Jutras. They're forcing them down layer by layer into the palm of their hands. If they make the wrong move, they slip up, they get separated, it is definitely going to be disastrous for them in their game.
Jutras and Broken there did not earn anything in the last game, so already they've getting more playtime now than he had in the previous round. Can they convert for Day and A? I mean, listen, they're just going to go and slow down here, go and reset, try to find some material. Let's mix it up, though. Let's start sliding north.
zone this time around from a North Pole. It looks like we've got a little bit of a southern lean on us, favoring a little bit more towards that eastern side. So we have a potential for a mega city zone. And if I can guess that one, hopefully a lot of these players have it in the back of their minds of when and where to begin to rotate. And I think this is another example here with Jacques and Qual. They were already separated. They like that high mountain over towards Mega City to where they're predicting a lot of teams to rotate into.
Give us a second though. Noxie and Saki taking a fight right here. Looks like they have the opponents on the run. It is Giants, our first place team of Sprites and Giants that are on the run right now. Giants doesn't have too much shield, the Sprite does. You have to assume he was jumped on. Noxie slides in, very experienced player right here. It just shows him what he is capable of. Now that things slow down, now that the momentum's out of his favor, they go ahead and back off. So almost get the full elimination turned over there. But since they don't convert, they say, hey, let's get on out of here. We're good.
14 in week number 1. They're just trying to keep their hopes and dreams alive. They got enough damage in which they feel comfortable with, at least when it comes to that Storm Surge. And now, just like a lot of the other teams, they're just trying to position themselves with any bit of elevation to try to take shots on people into the distance.
Here's Mayu and Crackly. I love the name, of course. Mayu game 4, looking to set things up for us. Still game 2 if you are just tuned in, so plenty of Fortnite to go in front of us.
Well, they know this side of the map. They know that a team lands over towards Naughty Nets. That's Nosh, that's Tavern. And they're really just putting shots on them into the distance because they have to kind of climb up the elevation in towards their hands. Even with the kinetic blades or an ODM gear, that's something that leaves you vulnerable for shots from a team like this. And that's why you see them kind of huddled up down there. Even though you not necessarily see them, you got to guess on the minimap that they're huddled up. Now they're having to rethink their strategy, go a whole different rotation because Clarity and Caskers have gate kept this portion of the map.
Well, I love this little evening outing here for Clarity G and Casker now. They get to go ahead and ease out. Nice position for them. It doesn't look like it's the same for Paper here. Paper, Shadow. Shadow's hurt. There's a fight going down.
Yep. Uncontested at Shattered Lab. You see the loot that they haven't had. Jenny, we're going on over to let us know how Paper and Shadow have been doing thus far.
Yeah, our game 1 winners, Mason and Scoped, are no longer landing here. Now Shadow, which is actually so good because they do have the vault. However, this could, make the Storm Surge a little different for them, so we might see them get a bit aggressive during mid-game.
Well, the truth is, teams are going to have to get aggressive. They want to go ahead and combat that surge. As we all know, things get very dangerous pretty quickly. You know, you can find yourself literally slipping behind Sprite and Giants. What a game 1, right? Yeah, they did a huge second place. In this position, just a moment ago, we almost saw it short.
They set the bar for themselves. They just have to perform within the standards, or of course get that VR on directly into the efforts to grand finals. See a couple teams.
Former